Wait, what am I saying?
Welcome to our third edition of Over Par and Underqualified. I'm your host, Anna, joined by our co-host, Hannah, not to be confused with Anna and Hannah, which has been done
Hello.
before. We took a brief hiatus for a couple of weeks. Life got a little crazy, but we're back and we're excited to talk some golf.
We got a lot of stuff on this list. Like you said, the last 2 weeks have just been crazy and there's been a lot happening. But we're excited to jump into everything. And thanks again for everyone who's been supporting us the last 2 episodes. It's been so fun to hear the feedback and all the support and stuff. So thank you to all.
Yeah,
Jump
you guys
in.
have been great. So first thing on the docket, we're calling it the docket now, is
I like it.
Bryson DeChambeau and kind of the way he has been like a force of change almost on the tour, which is really interesting. Like to me, very quick background that I'm sure no one needs on Bryson, but to me, like when he came on the scene, and I don't mean like when he got started, like when he started winning, but when he first came on the scene, I like vividly remember watching a PGA. It was just like a little clip they did of him. Like they interviewed him, they talked to him, and he was not as large as he is now. He was like this scrawny little physics major who was like right out of college. And he was just talking about how he had figured out the secret to the golf swing because of physics. Like he was like, I know how to do it perfect because I have physics. And I remember watching it and thinking like, who do you think you are? Like so many people have done this, so many instructors have studied this, and you said numbers told you how to make it perfect. Okay, good luck. Um, and then you flash, and then he wasn't the most popular guy on tour. Like you had people who were very much Team Bryson, and then he kind of stirred up some controversy, and then he went all in on Live. So he kind of had a rocky start, and then he's become like the player of the people in recent years with his YouTube channel and making words, lifting and working out and using social media and being more relatable is that's become his brand. And he stops and he talks to all the little kids. He gives them gloves, he gives them golf balls. So it's been cool to watch his evolution and then watch how as he's grown, he's been able to really impact golf as a whole and not just professional golf. And I'm going to shut up so Hana can talk.
No, no, no. You're on it 100%. The first thing that I remember is the hat and the metal, like the actual metal cleats. And I was like, who is this guy? You know, and to your point, you know, you're like, or he came out saying, I have figured golf out basically. You're right. I'm a physics guy, which I loved body mechanics and figuring out the physics of golf. Like that, like in instruction and everything, those students are the ones that I enjoyed teaching the most, is those that understand the math behind it. It makes the game so much easier when you could understand that it's like 1 degree that you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So that aspect I enjoyed, you know, his outlook on the game and where he was really pushing the game to be. But after that, I couldn't get over the hat at the time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I mean, he was just an odd guy to start off.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But to your point, I mean, now look at him. He's a content creator. He's now created his own clubs using AI. And right around the time that Cobra came out with the one length irons, I was in the master fitting realm with Callaway. And you know, it just didn't make a lot of sense with the CG and, you know, just the same length in general. A lot of people were against it. And he figured out a way to make it work with the different weighting. And I truly don't understand as a fitter myself how he made that work or how Cobra made it work, or
No,
where they even stemmed from, you know,
I think
to
it's
make such a big change.
yeah, I think that, and I have a very strong opinion on those. I think, and I've told, like, I'll tell anyone who has asked me about them, like when I've been fitting or involved in that process. I think they're great for him. I think that he asked
Yeah.
Cobra to design something for his swing because if you look at his swing, it's very unique now. I
Hmm.
don't know if it's because it's what works for him from like an instructional side, or if it's because of how bulky he has gotten. He lost so much mobility. It seemed or appeared that way for a couple of years. I don't see it as much anymore. but it's so stiff.
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, the weighting specifically on his set and the way they've got it worked out, and maybe the lie angles and stuff, in addition to he has a very unique golf swing, it works for him. Joe Schmo, who picks up one link irons, it's stupid. It's like the mini driver. It makes no sense. And it annoys because it's a
Yeah.
gimmick, and then people buy it and they wonder why it doesn't fix their game. And then they're mad that you let them spend $500 or 2 grand on something that's not working.
What? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the mini drivers, it like coming from the club fitting space, you most fitters are taught to preach MOI, right? Moment of inertia, and
Yeah.
how this is going to improve your game because you're moving weight away from the head and below the center of gravity. And that's what makes this club way better than the competitor. And then now they're reducing the CCs because the drivers have gotten so obnoxiously large, which is fair, just science moving in that direction. And then now they're shrinking it and telling you that it's more forgiving. I'm like,
It's a
you're
smaller
hitting a three wood. Yeah, it's a smaller surface area.
and they're telling you to figure out how to hit it.
Yeah, we're moving back to persimmons woods, basically. And it's funny to watch basically like the shift go back to where it was. It's like going back to vintage clothing, like early
Yeah.
2000s clothing is coming back. And it's like, that's something that I never thought would happen.
No, I don't know if I'm here for it. You don't expect it with golf equipment because it's like fashion, and house decor or like whatever. That makes sense because I mean, they look at science when they're designing it and like trends, but like as consumers when we buy it, no one's looking at science to tell them what shirt to buy. We're
Right.
looking at the models for wearing it. With golf, it is science, and which is why back to Bryson, what he does make sense, even though it went against the grain when he first started doing it, because people wanted more of the field players. When they design golf clubs and golf balls, it's all about the numbers and it's all about the science and the physics. So to go backwards makes no sense. You'd be better off putting the club head they have on the mini driver on a 3-wood shaft because
Yeah,
you're giving
yeah.
yourself a bigger surface area to hit.
Absolutely. And I mean, in a different sense, but related, like Callaway had or has the Heavenwood, which is, I believe, still like a 7-wood head with a 4-wood shaft.
That thing was
So you're having
awesome.
like, it was clutch, like those things were flying off the shelves because now I could essentially hit a 7-wood, higher, or obviously because it's 7-wood, but I'm hitting it longer because it's a longer shaft, generating more clubhead speed. And it was like the golden ticket. But in the sense of like a driver that's teed up with a driver shaft, saying that you're going to hit it more consistent seems a little bit odd. It seems like we're working in the opposite direction. But again, I'm not a scientist. I have no idea. I
Which is a
haven't really looked into the numbers of mini drivers. But from what I would assume both of us were taught in club fitting, it seems to go in the opposite direction.
For sure. And they sell like crazy. Every instructor I know, I won't say every instructor I know that I've spoken to about it can't stand them.
Right, right. And,
For the average
there's,
golfer.
right, right. I think for some of the beginners or some of just general golfers, looking down at a driver and essentially swinging like a full plate down there, it's ginormous. Looking down at
Yeah.
it is a little daunting. So looking down at something a little bit more, I guess, normal or smaller or whatnot, might ease the nerves. But I mean,
For
once
sure.
you again look at the numbers, I'm not quite sure if they relate to more accuracy by any means.
Long term, yeah. I would be curious to see what those numbers actually are if anyone's ever gotten that data on like past the first 2 months people have it. So not anytime you get a new club, it's like just mentally you hit it great
Right, right.
for the
And
most
tour
part.
tour professionals, like they're so dialed in with their club fitting that, a smaller CC head often leads to more accuracy. Like that makes sense. But for the general golfer who's looking for more forgiveness out of clubs, I'm not quite sure if that's found in a mini driver.
Yeah.
But to Bryson's point, I mean, or in the topic of Bryson, he's grown just golf in general
Hmm.
by showing that, if you lined up all the tour professionals, for the most part, the the most recent, maybe past 20 years, have all been very similar body types, right?
Yeah.
And then now you get into, or I guess maybe 2010 to now, Rory McIlroy was on the cover of Golf Digest, basically posing as a Greek god, or like a Greek statue. And, he was ripped, and him, along with, I would even put Tiger Woods in there with his
Yeah.
body training and strength training, just showing that you can be a muscular athlete in golf. And then Bryson took it one step farther and was like, okay, well, I'm going to prove that distance can be trained. I mean, you look at the long drive tour, World Long Drive Tour, and all of those, players are showing that, you can be an athlete. You can be in the gym, lift heavy, and still be explosive.
Hmm.
You don't necessarily need to be a smaller stature to be successful in golf.
Yeah, he to me is the first. And to your point, Rory did it to an extent and Tiger did it, but he's the first like truly well-rounded, at least publicly being very honest about his journey with it. A professional athlete in golf, which is crazy because it is a professional sport. You are an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not football. You're not having to hit something literally. It's a little different than traditional professional sports, but you're still a professional athlete. It's their job. It's what they do all day every day. So to we've talked about it before, but to think about what you're putting in your body and be really conscious about your diet and to spend 2 or 3 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week in the gym training specifically, not just for injury prevention, but like you said, like Bryson's doing for speed and for distance and for power. And then on top of that, you're training golf 4 hours a day. Like that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And there's different programs like TPI,
Hmm.
and so it's Titleist Performance Institute, I believe.
Hmm.
But areas like that where they focus on the body mechanics and mobility of golf to help players play better.
Yeah.
And I think that has been a thing for a while, but
Hmm.
Bryson was one of very few that really brought the attention and just shoved it in everyone's face that, you know, this can be trained and you can be a long hitter. It's not just, a genetic advantage that just random people are born with. You can make it happen,
Hmm.
which I think is really cool. And it really opened up and shoved that aspect into a lot of viewers' faces on the extreme side, I would say.
Hmm.
But it really shifted that focus towards just the efficiency of the golf swing.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to me to watch how that shapes like the future generation, not the guys coming up now who were 16, 17, and then in college when this became big that he was doing it. I mean, like the kids who were going to start from like 12, 13, like you see in other sports where they're trained from a really young age and they do the full program and see how that really changes the dynamics of the game and the way it's played and what we see on tour in the future.
Absolutely. Like one of the academies that I was a part of, Dan Campbell Golf Academy, they had a fitness instructor as a part of the academy. And that was just part of our normal routine was to go to basically the gym and lift.
Hmm.
And I look at other academies where it's just swing based, and not saying that they don't crush the ball, but it's just another aspect to the game that really isn't as focused on. We have at our club, we have swing gym and fit to play and all of those things that focus and should focus on the mobility of the golf swing.
Hmm.
There's only so much that your body can do naturally. There's some unnatural movements to the golf swing that need to be trained and need to be focused on. So I think he brings a great view. to that section of golf that maybe is overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Um, and kind of so going into the next thing we talked about, like we said, that's going to change the future generation how they play it, which is really interesting given the conversation that's been going on for a few years. It's not like this just came up the week of the U.S. Open, but that's come back up about the golf ball rollback. Um, so I want to say it was 2022, and again, anyone can Google this, but I'm going to give some background anyways. Um, in 2022 that was the first time that the tour announced that there was a conversation about a golf ball rollback, which basically means they're going. It's almost imagine hitting a much nicer flighted down range ball. So when you go to a range, you're like, man, why are all my irons going the same distance past my 7 or 8 iron? That's why, because they control the flight of it, so they don't lose them in the woods or on the back of the range. And they're basically talking about rolling them back in that sense for the tour, because the concern is that they can only make these older courses. So think your Oakmonts, your Augustas, your Pebble Beach to an extent, that era of course, they can only make them so long. There's only so much real estate. You can only do so much to it without then changing the integrity of like the original design. So the answer they've come up with is that they're going to make us you can't hit the ball as far, which to me is problematic for several reasons, but it's kind of a slap in the face to the guys like Bryson, like Rory, like a Tiger, who have worked really hard at the gym to get that competitive edge over their opponents. And they're going to lose the most distance if you look at the data because they hit it the furthest. It's not going to affect the amateurs as much were they to choose to play that golf ball, but it is going to greatly affect that top 1%. It's those guys who have done it just to get a competitive edge.
Absolutely. And also, the major sponsors are the manufacturers, right? Like the club manufacturers. And along with the club manufacturers comes the ball. So it'll be interesting to see, let's just use Callaway as an example. They're claimed as like the kings of distance. How, let's just say a random golf ball, the Chrome Soft is going to be rolled back, and how they're going to use the golf ball that they manufacture in like testings for their clubs, which are supposed to be longer, but the golf ball is shorter. So how does that actually interact in a real world sense?
Yeah, like is I hadn't thought of that angle of it. But is there going to be an asterisk that says, "But we use the new golf ball"? Like, what? How are you going to explain? Well, we're the king of distance, and you do hit it further, but we're using a different golf ball now because the amateurs aren't necessarily going to have to switch. From what I understand, and I probably haven't done enough research, it's only going to really greatly impact potentially collegiate golfers, specifically Division One, and people who play professional golf. I think that they're still going to manufacture and sell, at least for a pretty long time, the regular golf balls you and I get.
Mm-hmm.
So then how are they going to market it? And then in addition to that, and who knows if this will happen. Go ahead.
The USGA has a pretty close eye, obviously, on approving different clubs and approving different golf balls as to like what's able to be used. The tour has different regulations as to what is just sold on the shelf. Like typically back in the day, like a triple diamond driver was the tour driver. Now you can go and just get a triple diamond driver and you can say that you're hitting a triple diamond driver. But before it was like that was the tour driver. It was like a smaller head, so smaller CC. The weighting was different, closer to the face. You might have had some hot metal on the face or something like that that reduced spin. Whereas you wouldn't just get that from a normal Golf Galaxy or, I don't know, PGA Superstore. So I'm interested to see if they just do that regulation on the PGA Tour or if it's just the everyday golf ball. Because they also have oversized golf balls that you can buy off the shelf where the circumference is slightly larger, right? And so I don't know if, I mean, we could think back to like our old AJGA days where they would check your clubs and check your golf ball, one ball rule. So you had to start with the same golf ball that you finished with, or same type at least. But it seems like it would be hard to regulate, like a tour golf ball versus an amateur golf ball. But I don't know. I feel like I just said golf ball so much.
No, I get
we'll put a count.
Okay. No, it's in that, like, my whole thing. I have two things with it. One, it's nearly impossible to regulate especially if you were to implement it in college. That's my big issue with it. If you implement it in college, then you either have this thing where, like you said, this is not to knock it because we've been there. Like, I've been this person. Some volunteer intern for the AJGA is going to go through all 250 kids' golf bags and check all their golf balls. No, that's just not going to happen. That's not realistic. Half the junior tours, Peggy Bell, at least when I was playing, they don't check anything. They just let you go out there and assume that you are playing by the rules because that's part of the game, is that you have integrity. Whether or not it happens is like another thing. I never encountered someone playing clubs they shouldn't have, but I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
And then on tour they can regulate it, but then do you run into what we just ran into several weeks ago, where they only test certain people's equipment? True. And then they leak so and so had one golf ball in their bag, and so they had to change out the golf ball, and then someone's mad because, well, this guy had another golf ball in his bag too, but no one reported. Like, it becomes a conversation that it probably doesn't need to be.
I'm certainly interested to see what happens. Like, to your earlier point, they've been talking about this for years. When they're going to do it or how it's really going to be rolled out, I am so interested to see, like, what is the marking going to be on the golf ball? At what point do you take the marking off and it's just a normal thing? There's people still selling Titleist baladas on eBay, which are like marshmallows. They would get stuck in the range picker because they would just slice in half. Unlimited spin, the Tour Delta 90s or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But like, are those like, I don't know. Like, at what point do you just accept that golf is getting longer, and keep pushing for how low the game can be? Like, I understand their want to preserve the traditions of traditional golf courses. I also understand, like, golf courses do take a lot of water. Like, that's a valid fact. A lot of states and a lot of places are, nearing droughts and stuff. But at the same time, like, yes, it takes water to grow, but it's also like keeping natural areas natural, as a preserve in a sense, rather than being developed by commercial land or something like that. Which one would you rather have, a golf course or a concrete building, distribution center?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And also, I think it's worth noting, it is possible. The only way to make a golf course difficult is not to make it longer. The U.S. Open, when they played at Oakmont a couple weeks ago, it was the traditional U.S. Open. It was what everybody wanted. One guy was under par with the final score, and it was because they made the rough really thick. Those greens are insane without making them super fast. I think on the first day or in the practice round, there's a sign that said they were running like a 16. That's insane. Those greens.
1 second. I'm gonna plug my computer in. It's about to die. I'm still listening though. Go ahead.
Which, I mean, I've been at clubs where people said, we want these to run a 13 all the time. They're like an 8. They were at 10. And I guarantee the second we turned them up to a 12, they were too fast and no one could putt on them. Like, I don't think people understand how fast those greens were without even taking into account how severely undulated and just ridiculous they are. You can make a golf course hard without changing the distance of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm 100% with you. And one of our points on our list is just the risk of fragmentation. So if one league, like if the PGA Tour approves the rollback or the USGA approves the rollback, but Live Golf doesn't want to do the rollback and they're just pushing distance, or if TGL pushes, just the standard golf ball. Like, I don't know how that works with a simulator necessarily, but,
Yeah.
like it kind of adds some separation on if they go in the same direction or if not.
And it's one more reason we might not get some of the. You may, at least now, we see the live guys in the majors. And you get
Right.
to see the full field of the full talent of golf. I'm not saying this would happen, but potentially if you throw a golf ball rollback in there, but Liv doesn't adopt it, why are they going to come play in the PGA? I mean, it's the majors, so some of them are going to do it for the sake of it being a major, but why
Tradition.
are most of them going to play in it? If
Yeah.
they're playing golf
Yeah.
ball they don't normally play, if it's going to hurt their game, it's going to make them mentally, if that's going to give them a hang up, why do it? We're going to lose a lot of the field from that coming from
Absolutely.
that side. So, like you said, it's going to fragment the whole world even more.
Exactly. And I love seeing the live guys come back and play against the PGA players,
Hmm.
um, especially when they're like right up there with them. It's like, it just proves that, hey, I didn't leave because I wanted an easy way out.
Hmm.
Like, I'm still good and like, don't forget about me type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I love it. I love it,
Yeah.
especially when they go head to head.
It's cool now that you said that. It's think back to the Masters when John Rahm won it, and everyone's thing was that Rahm was Mr. PGA. He and Rory, but he was Mr. PGA. And then Brooks Koepka was who he was paired with on the final day, and he was Mr. Live. And then flash forward 7 months later,
Yeah.
John Rahm, who won the Masters, and everyone said, "Yeah, go Team PGA. He's better than Live." Joined Live.
Yeah.
So both of
Yeah.
them were Live, and they were the two in contention for them. It's kind of interesting to think back on, but the caliber of player is essentially the same. Maybe not the same, but very close.
Well, at that level, it's I don't know. I guess I'll retract this the second I say it because then you have like Justin Thomas who's up at that level but is kind of going back and forth on staying consistent or Max Homa or all of those
Speed,
fun
yeah.
names. But you get to that level and there's such a small difference between playing great and not playing great. You're still at
Mhm.
the same level, but some days are your days. Some courses fit your eye and fit your game a little bit better, while other courses don't, So just because they're on a different tour, they're still going head to head. I would also be interested to see some numbers. I don't know where I would get these or how to even acquire them, but how Live Golf's format almost leads to more mental competition than PGA Tour. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a hot take. Haven't thought about it very much. Just came up with it. But I'd be interested to see what either other people think about it or, if anyone can get numbers from it. Like, are they usually hitting or like playing better on the live or are they shooting better on PGA?
Yeah, that's a valid question. Like, how does their game? Yeah, how does it
Yeah.
translate?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the exact stats because now I'm or the so yes, it's there are 12 captains. They draft three teammates each week over the course of the 3 days. The two teams, so the captain and one of their teammates, and then the other two teammates will play best stroke play scores from the
Hmm.
first two rounds. Oh, so it's not best ball. It's like how we played college golf on it. So they take the
Oh.
best two of the three, or of the, yeah, the best two of the three count for the team score to determine the winning team. And then the
Hmm.
draft for players is conducted in a snake format, and teams have their names. That's interesting. I thought it was best. I thought it was a partner event as well. They may change the format sometimes for certain events, but
Huh.
for the most part, that's the format for
Interesting.
all their
I
events.
We talked about this a little bit, I think, when Katie was on episode 2, but I do wish that when we were playing collegiate that we were playing with a teammate.
Yeah.
That almost never happened. I don't remember a time where it actually did happen.
COVID.
But I am
You were not there,
slightly,
but
I was not there. during the COVID years. I'm kind of happy about that, but at the same time, I think a COVID year would have been cool, just to gain one more year of eligibility and play. But I feel like it wouldn't be the same, like going to class and stuff online. But I'm also on, just as another tangent, sad that the NLI
NIL.
wasn't, yeah, that, what was it? NIL?
NIL. You were close.
Dang. Cut that part out. No, I'm just kidding. I wish that was a thing. Like all these
Yeah, that was
people
cool.
getting like sponsorships and stuff. Um, that wasn't a thing. I was scared to take like a lunch from a donor and they're like, here's a bag of chips. I'm like, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And now there's these, I don't know. They're making so much money off of it. I guess if you're
Oh,
if you're
it's
good and you
insane.
have a voice and a following. I do want to talk about the crossover influence of Bryson DeChambeau. We kind of touched on youth golf, and having more awareness in the fitness aspect of golf. But I feel like Bryson is able to capture a younger audience through social media. He's capturing their attention. And for younger golfers or junior golfers to be able to see that at such a young age, I don't know if either of us really had someone to look up to in like the fitness sense of the game.
No, yeah, and even we're almost like that middle lot because not that we were post Tiger, but we weren't Tiger. We were on the tail end of Tiger in his prime. My first really like vivid memory of Tiger was the whole scandal thing.
Yep, same.
So like we didn't even have like someone in the golf world really to look up to that was consistent. And these kids have, because Bryson has made himself so unique, they do have that.
Yeah, yeah. And just like his overall reach through his YouTube channel and his TikToks, his Twitter, I think he has a lot more following of a younger demographic
Oh yeah.
than almost any other golf player.
I can name two kids I
Hot
teach
take.
and one. Yeah, no, I think you're right because I mean, I have two kids I teach and then one who I know personally who the one I know personally got into golf because of Bryson's YouTube channel and has taught himself golf through YouTube video. And I mean, he's done an okay job. He needs some help from someone in person now. Because you can only go so far with YouTube videos. Don't take that as like carte blanche to go teach yourself golf on YouTube. It won't work forever. But like that, you don't hear about that from anybody else. And then the other two kids I teach, they didn't learn about golf through Bryson, but that's who. I mean, I even told one of them, I was like, go watch Bryson. If you're committed to what you're doing back here in your backswing, go be the expert on that guy's golf swing. But they
Yeah.
love him anyways. They love to watch him. They think his YouTube channel's funny. They think he's relatable.
I think it's so interesting to look at, so 2 points. One, just creator content as a whole. And two, going back to Bryson, how I think back to my junior clinics and junior lessons, and lag was such an emphasis to create compression through the golf ball. And now his is almost as if you're looking at a robot. I don't know what those are called, but when they use them for like testing clubs,
Yes.
insert name here.
Here.
Yeah, like his is almost that type of rigid and stiff.
Yeah.
Where like lag is almost like not even in the question of his golf swing.
No. Yeah. I wouldn't teach it just as my like go-to swing to teach. I've learned it to help specific people. Like I've studied it a little bit to help specific people, but it works very well for them, and it's interesting and it's unique and it's catching people's attention. So go ahead.
The creator side, I said there's 2 points, and then I only talked about one. But just the overall impact that short film content on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram have had on the growth of the game, I think is so cool.
Yeah.
Especially having such large players
Hmm.
like Bryson or Jason Day now with the lads on YouTube, to have them fill that, professional golf space
Yeah.
through content, I think is so great for the game of golf. And just to see them in a more personable, less focused
Hmm.
atmosphere really humanizes a lot of these players.
Yeah, and I think that it almost started not from a business creator sense. And I don't know if you even remember this, but in like 2015, 2016, do you remember like the spring break trips? Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and they put it
Bubba
all on their
Watson?
Snapchats. No,
Was Bubba
Bubba may
Watson
have been
in?
on he may have been on the first one. He may have made like a
Maybe.
cameo.
It was like the Golf Boys or something.
Yeah,
Anyways,
and they were literally in swim trunks on vacation. This was all pre-wives for most of them and pre-babies for all of them. And pre-girlfriend or any girl for Ricky Fowler. But they were literally like sometimes no shirt, in swim trunks, riding, drinking a little bit, playing loud music, standing on the sides of golf carts, going crazy, racing each other. They were people, so it brought personality back to the game and then put it on social media. And I think that kind of opened the door for someone to say, wait, I can make that a business.
right. And it's the one of us mentality, right?
Hmm.
Where you could put them on such a high pedestal, but if there's no way of relating yourself to another person, like that person isn't real, and then you see him in real life, and you're like, dude, you're just like me, but you're that much better. That you have a life, you have personal struggles. I think that's where social media has really opened up that space to just be like, hey, I'm one of you. I started the game just like you did. And look at me. Like it, again, going back to Bryson, skill can be taught. There's only a certain amount of genetics that can really get you to where you need to be before you have to put in the work to get there.
Yeah, which is nothing new. I mean, at least we were taught that from the time we were kids. Raw talent will be hard work beats raw talent every time once you get past the age of like 5. You can
Yeah.
outwork talent all day long. It's only going to carry you
Right.
so far to be naturally good at something.
Right. Right. I agree. Um, the next point that we had, kind of as a segue of speaking of raw talent, and skill, you had to fight your way through Oakmont. Um, and we could kind of relate that to the golf ball rollback if you want.
Huh?
Oakmont
You
is
don't mean
my.
I specifically had to fight my way through Oakmont, right?
No, no. Yeah, she was out there with a mustache and
No.
no, 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 no. Wait, you didn't go? You didn't play at Oakmont?
I thought you meant spectating. Yeah, I actually played. You had that backwards. I just wanted to clarify that I played.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean Oakmont was brutal. Not only was like again, like we said before, they were able to make the course hard, the rough, and they cut it down. I don't know if anyone saw the pictures or if you saw the pictures of the rough
No.
because, and I learned this several years ago from when I was coaching a collegiate team and we traveled up to TPC Deer Run about a month before they were going to play the event, the John Deere Classic. So the USGA says I want to say you have to grow the rough to like 7 or 8 inches as a course prior to them arriving on site about 2 weeks out so that they can cut it to what they want it to be.
I didn't know that.
So it's dumb thick
It's dumb
for
big.
dumb thick for like the poor members at Oakmont Country Club. Oh my gosh. So I don't know. I don't remember how thick it was. It was probably 6 inches, but prior to the USGA getting there,
Some would
but it
say
was
eight.
crazy. There was possibly 6 inches. We're not sure. Um, so I don't remember what length it actually ended up being, but it was. I mean, it was. You watch the pros struggle like some people do when they go to like a sawgrass or whatever. I mean, just chopping at the ball, couldn't see it, couldn't get it out. when they did get it out, they might as well have not because it barely got to the fairway. There was no like 200 yards out of the rough onto the green type shots. And the guy who emerged and won it was not who anyone was going to pick. I will say from the get, and I love Scotty, I did not see him winning that tournament. Just personally, I didn't think it's fit his game. And I may get some hate for that, but I just don't. He doesn't have to scramble often because he doesn't miss fairways often in the rough that's not like that, or in conditions that aren't like that. So then you throw him into a course where the fairways were so firm the first day, good shots ended up in the rough, and he has to scramble all day long for 4 days, and he's not used to doing it that much. I just didn't see that going well. JJ Spawn, I believe, was the low round after the first round,
Yep.
which no one expected. Again, he was kind of a no name. If you listen to his story, it's kind of cool.
I didn't know who he was before this tournament. Again,
I didn't
as
either.
we prefaced in the first episode, I am terrible at keeping up with the PGA. But we did watch a few of, his holes and some of his round highlights and stuff, and just hearing him talk and just be a normal person in front of the camera and talk about, how he played just as a normal person. It was so refreshing. I feel like the last few weeks we've had these newer names in the game come up, and it's so exciting to see just some fresh faces.
Yeah, the Ben Griffins, the JJ Spawns, again, not that it's not cool to see the legacy of a Rory winning as the last one of the Grand Slam, or of Scotty continuing to win. Like, that's cool for the history, but it's fun just as a spectator, as someone who loves sports, to see a Ben Griffin who a year before he just won the first tournament he won recently, almost a year to the day prior, he had like a major eye surgery, and they realized that the reason he was playing so horribly was because he was basically blind in that eye. That's why he wears the sunglasses, actually. It's got something to do with the vision. But and so that journey to like kind of claw his way back. If you listen to JJ Spawn's journey, it's a little all over the place. At one point, he lost his tour card, and then he lost say he was misdiagnosed with diabetes, and then lost a lot of weight, and then got back on tour, and it's kind of just struggled his way through. And then this year, something clicked. And so it's kind of like the redemption stories that we haven't been getting. So that's been really neat to watch. And it was just I mean, the weather on top of the conditions of the course, the greens were nuts. It rained on him for 2 or 3 of the 4 days. And it kind of, on the last day, you didn't watch much of it, I don't think, Hannah, but the last day was pretty much just a who can hang on longer than the rest of them.
Right. Yeah. I was mid-tournament during
That's right.
that.
That's right. Hannah won a golf tournament.
I won a golf tournament. Yay. Yeah, member invitational, Pine Top. So much fun. Had a blast. Please take me back next year. Let's run it back.
She has to bring you back. You're the defending champ.
I know. She gave me the soft invitation back. So
Sick.
let's hope a year from now. I don't know why I looked at the clock as if it was going to change, but excited to go back. It was a great group, and such a great, inspiring week to see. I don't know, just another club and another great group of ladies all come together for some competition, some friendly competition.
Gotta love it. It's cool to be on the other side of things.
Right, because both of us are on the kind of the tournament side. You more so than me. I mean, I just show up, take pictures, but yeah, it was cool to see the other side and how everything played out, and everyone enjoyed themselves, and it was a great time. So
Yeah.
so happy. Thank you, Joey. Shout out Joey, my partner. Let's do it again next year.
Hell yeah. I wasn't there, but I feel like someone should shout out the staff who I know this is not sexist. Women's invitationals are a little bit lower stress than men's invitationals at most clubs. They still were probably there for 12 hours a day for 3 days. So shout out the staff who made that event happen.
Seriously.
That is not, it's a fun time, but it's not a fun time at the same time. So
Well, there's just so much logistics that go on behind the scenes of any tournament, even if it's just a charity golf tournament. just the food, the entertainment, the tea times, and we did best ball match play and trying to figure out like the scoring system.
Hmm.
That alone, when people aren't using, Golf Genius or whatever tournament site that they're using, there's so much infrastructure behind that often gets forgotten about. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, good job,
Um,
everyone involved.
you wanted to talk. You went to the grand opening of the back nine.
Oh
You
yeah,
wanted to talk
yeah,
about that a little bit.
yeah. So, well, just the overall rise of indoor simulators. So,
Hmm.
I am based out of Phoenix, Arizona, specifically the Upper West Side, which I've deemed it as. But just the overall increase of simulators popping up in the valley here and what that does for the game of golf. So there's a new one on the West Valley, and there's a couple of them throughout the valley themselves, same name, but this one specifically is called the Back Nine. It's located off of Northern and the 101 in Park West. If you're in the valley, definitely go check it out. But it's an elevated simulator space that offers lessons and entertainment and stuff. They have, I believe they're based off 4 site simulators. But they have a little putting green and everything. They had their grand opening last week, and it was so cool to see that simulators in general are increasing in popularity. There's another one on the East Valley called Stingers, and this one, like the floor undulates to resemble what lie that you would have on the golf
Oh,
course. And
that's
they have,
cool.
it is so cool. And then it has different grasses. So if you're in the fairway versus the rough, it would have you put the golf ball in the rough. And then if you were in a bunker versus like a greenside bunker versus a fairway bunker, it would have different grasses that you put that in. And then they also have like AI swing thoughts and stuff. And it gives you the moment of impact at what your, swing look like at impact. I am mind blown with these. I don't know if you're looking one up, but Stingers is
I'm making
definitely a
notes to look into stingers for my day job to steal all of
yes,
their ideas for our building.
yes, definitely do. I don't know what system they use, but the Back Nine is just a simulator
Hmm.
and instruction,
Hmm.
versus Stingers has food and beverage.
Hmm.
They have a full bar, full kitchen. You can rent it, get instruction. K Drew Golf, specifically at the one in the East Valley. A shout out there. But what it does is opens up just the accessibility to golf. You can bring, several buddies, 6, 8, whatever, rent a bay out. You're not committing to the full 4 hours that an 18-hole course probably requires on average. And you have food, beverage all right there. Certainly a lower cost than the majority of golf courses in here or in the valley.
And you're with all
And
of your friends at the same time.
inside in
Hmm.
AC. So
And
you're
air
not
conditioning.
having to, right, you're not having to get heat stroke middle of summer. And yes, like prime season in Arizona, when it's 72, 74 degrees, it's gorgeous. But you're still committing 4 or 5 hours to a round. Certainly during prime season, upwards of $150 to $200 to play a good course. And you're limited to, a foursome per group. So this one, you're all with your buddies, all hanging out. You can make complete fools of yourself if you want. And then last point is that like beginner golfers, there's a lot of I have, for lack of a better term, anxiety or pressure, stress, that comes with being at a golf course, right? Like it's kind
Yeah.
of unknown. But being in a simulator kind of relieves some of that stuff. You can kind of just be at the skill that you are. Not saying you can't do that on a golf course, but it's certainly more welcoming than going to a full regulation golf course rather than
Yeah,
simulator.
absolutely. Well, it's intimidating. We when we first talked about this thing, I mentioned it, but I know people who just go and have a drink at the bar at some simulators here closer to me on the East Coast. And then since they've been like, oh, this is a cool place to hang out. Maybe we will play golf here sometimes. And then they're already golfers, so it's not really relevant to them. But some of them, like I know one called Nine Rounds. That's also the name of a kickboxing gym I know about. So like you may just walk into it not expecting kickboxing, and they're like, oh, let's just go in here and grab a drink. Be like, oh, cool, this has this other stuff. Oh, sick, there's food. Oh, maybe we'll come back and we'll play golf, and then maybe we'll go to a driving range and play golf. That's a more manageable step from simulator to course. And then after you go to the range, maybe you want. So it's just bringing new people to the game. It's making it more accessible, like you kind of mentioned before, which is cool.
Right, right. And if you do the terrible, S word in golf, if you shank one, it just hits the wall and you don't have to go 2 fairways over to try to find it. Like, that's great. You
I have
keep
seen
the
it
same
ricochet
golf
off and
ball.
hit someone. So that's
Jeez. You know what? The bowling alley in between where your house was and my house,
yeah.
um, just put 2 HD golf simulators in.
No shit. That's cool.
Yeah. So they took out all those VIP lanes and made it into mini golf and which is another big thing. Putt Shack and Pop Stroke are popping up everywhere.
I was talking to somebody about Pop Stroke the other day. I love Pop Stroke.
Right? Such a fun time and like you really don't need to have any knowledge of golf to be able to enjoy it. They have a bar midway. All good
They had
things.
other games. The bar midway
Oh
is
yeah.
genius, truly.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, but they have like
Swinger.
ping pong,
Yeah, ping pong,
cornhole.
maybe air hockey. I love the trend, and I will say it's a trend where I'm at too. Actually, there's a cool like I don't know the name of it, but it's basically an all outdoor bar, and they have like tons. They have like you can shoot basketball like on little hoops. Like, I love the trend of yard games.
Big fan.
Let's not sit somewhere and just drink and maybe watch TV. Like let's go somewhere because especially in kind of our generation, there's such a trend of people either drinking less or not drinking at all. There's,
Yep.
people just go and want to have a mocktail or want to have a club soda or just have a water, but still hang out. When you're sitting watching a screen and the activity is 6 ounce curls, I had to remember what that was called. Um, it's tough to do if you're not drinking, but it's really inclusive to go somewhere with some yard games or with some golf simulators. And then also, if somebody wants to have a beer, great. If somebody wants to just hang out and play the game, awesome. That's cool too.
I think that has some correlation to the rise of ADHD in our generation. We just can't just sit there and
I was
play
trying to
darts.
fit it.
But yeah, we're outdoorsy, we're sober, let's
It's
go.
called dicks, damn it.
We'll cut that out,
I'm
cut that out.
reframing it.
I love it.
You
Change your
squint
focus.
and close this eye.
And imagine. No, I love that. But yes, just the overall growth. I'm here for it. I think it's so fun just to hang out in AC, with some decent food and good company. Also, we talked about it in last episode, so episode 2. Birdies and Lattes. That is actually a
Yeah.
simulator store and
Sorry, there was noise.
simulator simulator and merchandise and lattes. All genius. Stingers also sells Devereaux merchandise. So again,
Yeah.
yeah, we love that. Local brand. But just the overall rise of casual golf. We talked about, Bel Air and Dobson and grass clippings and just the movement in that direction, and this adds to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're if you've got time this weekend, you don't have plans, they're all over the place. Go find your local simulator, go find your local
Yep.
place with your games, and play 9 holes or play 2 holes and get bored with it and have a long drive contest because you can do anything with those simulators. You do
Yeah,
not just have
yeah.
to play around in golf.
Well, also, I've said this like 3 times. Also, um, the accessibility to swing data to the average golfer, it may be analysis paralysis because you get too much information.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the difference between ball speed versus club head speed or
Mm-hmm.
axis spin axis versus, I don't know, something like launch angle or
No.
angle of attack or what a smash factor is, whatever.
Yeah.
But these places have those tiles that you can activate and kind
Mm-hmm.
of get your stuff dialed in. Let's say you're in some lessons and they want you to focus on getting your launch angle higher or lower
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it may be. You have the ability without purchasing a foresight for yourself and really dial in your swing on your own after you've gotten a lesson to know how to read it. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing to your junior golfer who has taught himself how to swing to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
There is a caveat to knowing what you're looking at
Yeah.
in order to become that Bryson DeChambeau and know what the numbers are that you're looking at.
Yeah. And I will say to me, actually, I'm curious to hear your opinion.
That sounds like a big dog, too.
And he's not.
He's not.
He weighs like 45 pounds. Come on, say hi.
Oh, celebrity guest.
He's like, I just protected. Literally not a damn thing. When I thought someone was breaking into my parents' house and I was house sitting, he ran away and peed on the bed because he was scared.
He was just marking his territory,
Yeah.
giving the
Uh,
investigators something to find.
Funny story. I've told you this. 3 sheriffs showed up to the house that night. The wind blew the door open.
You
But
called them.
3 sheriff. Yeah, I did. I locked myself in the bathroom and called 911 and made her stay on the line until they got there.
A bird flew into my window the other day at night,
Yeah.
mind you. I've rarely see birds at night, especially on the Upper West Side. And I was at home alone watching a movie. Happened to be a scary movie, which I don't often watch. Irrelevant.
Not important.
A bird flew into the window. Kona didn't move at all. And I was
Mhm.
like, why aren't you saving me right now? I am obviously in danger.
You're under attack.
Unfazed, literally thought I was going to die or that we were going to get invaded or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? We didn't get
Turns
dark
out it
guard
was a bird.
dogs. Yeah, well,
No.
birds better
No.
than wind. I will give you that.
Yeah, at least the door didn't open. I would have lost my shiza.
Yeah, seriously. Um, I don't know what I was saying before that happened. It couldn't have been very important.
You said, I'm interested to know your point of view or something like that.
Oh, so to me, like for the beginner golfers who are like at a simulator and they're wanting to look at, so say you've taught yourself on YouTube, you see all that. The two to look at, in my opinion, are the path, like your swing.
Your face right now.
He doesn't want me to say this. Your swing path, so the angle. Look at swing path. I'm done. I'm over it.
Swing path and face angle. Is
Face
that
angle.
what you're
Thank
trying to
you.
say?
Thank God. Yes,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, certainly. Those are the two that I look at if someone has the fades or hooks or
Mhm.
draw, whatever. Yeah, if those are somewhat in a line, you're going to hit a straight shot for the most part.
Yep.
But yeah, if those are off, if one number is larger than the other, it's going to head in that direction, typically.
Yeah. And most of those
I'm
will
glad.
show you where it should be and then where you are. And so I mean, I've seen people figure out, like, oh, I need to do X. I'm just ignoring it now. He's telling me it's time to be done. He's not in charge of me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But yeah, those are the two to look at. You were saying if one something.
If you're a beginner at a simulator and you're not taking lessons, but you really want to look at those numbers, look at those two above all else and then go take a lesson. Then go ask someone to explain it to you.
Yeah, yeah. Or since you're on YouTube already, there's plenty of content creators that show you like what to look for in that stuff. So maybe take a quick gander over there.
I'm just gonna not.
Arr, arr. Arr, arr.
All right.
No, I think he has a lot to say, actually. I think he agrees with you.
He has so he's something. He's got opinions. He ate my pea fob on Saturday for my gate. Most importantly for the pool.
Huh. That's
But for
the
the
important one for you.
Yeah, not the well, in my defense, I don't love this. I have sent emails. For the past 2 months, the gate doesn't work, so it's just open all the time on both sides. So I'm not really super concerned about that. Plus, if they did miraculously fix it, I have a directory code that'll just call my cell phone and I can still let myself in. So the
Oh,
important
that's
one
cool.
for me is the pool and the gym,
Mm, right.
neither of which I can use over the weekend, but that's okay.
Hmm.
We got a new one
Hmm.
today, and she didn't even charge me for it
Let's
because her
go.
dog ate her credit card last week and she understood.
Wow. That's like my
Yeah,
dog ate my homework.
but my
Please
credit
help.
card.
Yeah, that would suck. That like changes the whole course of your life, you know? Like losing your wallet or like getting your card hacked.
Yeah,
That really puts a damper on everything.
really fucks up a day.
Yeah, seriously. So really quick, we were talking about simulators. The Stingers one in particular, um, had or wait, there was one up in Anthem. I gotta look it up. Hold on. But a buddy was talking about it. Anthem simulator, golf simulator. Okay, this one's called iSwing. Um, and the buddy that was talking about it was mentioning that it gives you AI swing analysis. So it'll give you some tips as to what you're doing in the golf swing and potentially how to fix it, which is a scary thought for most golf professionals to be
I was
able
gonna say,
to
not that
not
I
only
don't
be
trust it, but I
obsolete,
don't like it.
right? Like, not only are you, having to convince and show the reasonings for in-person instruction rather than a YouTube video, but also now swing simulators are able to just analyze the numbers and tell you what you're doing wrong. Kind of goes back to Bryson
Yeah.
using AI and changing how he swings, how his clubs are made, club design, equipment, and how broadcasters are, I don't know, able to commentate using like Top Tracer and Foresight and all of these things because they're seeing the numbers as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. All valid points. It's kind of a scary thought.
boom.
Bang.
The future is now, folks. The future is
And
now.
I am terrified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. In relation to simulators and the rise of indoor golf, leads us to the TGL. I'm going to quickly scroll up to my notes because we had to kind of dig a little bit more on the TGL, but
We both
essentially
thought it
it's
was
the
Tigers Golf League. That's just important to note.
it is actually tomorrow's golf league. So they are also in the future, but it bases itself on fast pace, tech driven golf entertainment, founded by Tiger Woods, which lends our conclusion to be somewhat correct, but totally wrong. In conjunction with Rory McIlroy and Mike McCarley via Tomorrow Sports in partnership with the PGA. We have a quick synopsis of the format, which we had no idea about. But this is in SoFi Center in Florida, also streaming on ESPN, which is huge. I feel like Live Golf struggled to even get anyone to broadcast them because everyone was so scared about the PGA Tour and any conjunction with them. But yeah, they're on ESPN, so that's
That's
pretty
huge
cool.
for golf. Yeah.
Yeah, the format is 6 city-based teams: Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay Area, each with 4 PGA Tour pros. It's a match structure, so 2 hours, 15-hole match play. The first 9 holes are triplets, 3-on-3 alternate shot, followed by 6 holes of head-to-head singles. So, I mean, 15 holes versus 18 holes. We were kind of discussing that offline, but just a little bit faster, a little quicker to keep up with. And then the change of format or match structures keeps things entertaining.
Yeah, it makes it different. You're not sitting there for 12 hours watching 72 guys just hit golf balls. I mean, it's a totally different format. It's a little more fast paced, like you said. It's a little more interesting maybe to watch if you don't know much about golf. Having your area where you live be represented is really cool. I think that really helps get a fan base. So yeah, I like it. I think it's a very smart idea. I hope that it succeeds, and I hope that we get to keep that and Live and the traditional PGA Tour because I think they're all really unique and important in their own right, and they have their own followings, and I think it's all good for the game.
Absolutely. And the fact that it's indoor, I think is, as we have already discussed, is awesome. And
Hmm.
then you're putting on a rotating green,
That I didn't know.
which is, yeah, it's motorized green equipped with real grass, bunkers. They switch out the hitting areas. Those are all real grass as well. So it's really a indoor simulator on steroids, if you will.
Hmm.
And then it also has slope simulation, similar to Stingers. Stingers is really the only place that I know of that has the slope simulation in real life. I don't know why I said in real life, but as opposed to not real
Alternate
life.
universe of the pros again?
Yeah, I don't
They're
know.
in Mars with
But
Katy Perry.
yeah, exactly. Floating like a plastic bag. But they have different features that some other sports have, like a shot clock. All of the players are mic'd up, so you get to kind of hear their banter, which is kind of rare unless a announcer or commentator is following them directly. And then they have a closest to the pin overtime, which is kind of cool. A little power play scoring, different ways to keep it entertaining, even for those that do not enjoy the standard or traditional round of golf that you see every week. But excited to see where that goes. Again, you were talking about just the excitement of growing the game and how each of those entities, the PGA Tour, the Live, and TGL, are all exciting and necessary for the growth of golf.
Hell yeah. Very
Well,
well
I
put.
think we talked about a lot of good topics. If
Mhm.
you want to wrap this baby up.
Yeah. So, thank you for listening to us discuss a lot of topics you've probably heard a little bit about, but hopefully we gave some clarity or a new perspective, or at least a goofy perspective on some of them. Um, we don't know what we're going to talk about next week, so stay tuned because it might be an interview. It could be funny, or it could just be giving you a new perspective on all the topics everybody's chatting about. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, oh.
Wait, what am I saying?